Hello, friends, and welcome. I'm your co-host, Andrew Lazaga, here with Dubside.
And you're listening to the Dubcast with Dubside.
So how are things, Dubside?
Pretty good. I'm getting ready for Delmarva in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And I've got through the whole summer with Greenland and Sweden and Denmark. And then I was at the Michigan training camp and the Minnesota gathering, which we're supposed to be calling them the kayak training camp and the traditional paddlers gathering, but I keep using the old names.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a pretty amazing summer. Any interesting auction items?
At the Michigan event, there was a woman, actually a trained artist, and she had made a stained glass display, like a thing you hang in your window, and the glass, it shines through the colored glass. It was seen like a mountain thing with a kayak underneath. And it was in a solid walnut frame. And she described the special, it's called herringbone glass, that only one place in the country makes this special type of glass. And the way the light shines through it looks like shining off a mountain or something like that. So this item went on the auction, live auction, and it sold for $1,000.
Wow.
I'm not sure if that's a record for auction items at these events, but yeah, it was, and it was, you could see paying $1,000. It was a real work of art.
Now you brought some auction items, didn't you, from Greenland?
Yes. My mission in Greenland, part of it was to find some interesting auction items to bring to the U.S. I spent about $800 worth of stuff, and I brought it on these trips to Michigan and Minnesota, and then at the first one in Michigan, they divided it up into 4 piles. So it'll be at coming up at Delmarva, and then next year when they have the tracks in Florida, the rest of it will be there. I found some like sterling silver jewelry, some of those little tupilak carvings out of caribou antler, and I got this really cool kayak pattern dress by one of the Greenland clothing designers, and that'll be auctioned off at Delmarva. I got these 2 little carvings, or 2 large, they're like 6-inch carvings of special figures with a whole story behind them. Cost me about $100 or so. They went for more than $300. And the guy who carved them, I interviewed him. So you'll hear that as a special guest interview coming up in the future. Yeah. And I got a call from Ed Mann in Florida, who says he wants me to come to the Tracks event next year. I think it's in May. So I'll be down there for that. And then Styx is the one in the Seattle area will be revived next year. I think it'll be in Oregon on the Columbia River, but that's June. But I've been invited to that one, so I'll be getting out to some more of these events.
Yeah, I really hope Styx happens next year. Yeah, it'll be great to have you over. I don't know, I'll believe it when I see it.
It's hard to predict the future.
Yeah. I really enjoyed your episodes on paddling really, really fast.
Yes, the super fast paddling stroke, the lost super fast paddling stroke. Qorqortoq. Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting. Maybe it's just a myth.
Or exaggeration and telling the stories.
Is this exaggerated? Is the historical record wrong? But, when you look at this recent history, things that people thought were not possible have been done. For instance, one of our guests had mentioned that way back decades ago, people didn't really think it was possible to roll a sea kayak. That just was not done. And when people started doing the balance brace, they couldn't understand how it worked. They thought it was impossible. And they didn't understand how a skinny traditional paddle could work. They thought all paddles worked by drag and not lift. So maybe we still have more to learn about how kayaks work.
Yeah. So this episode 63 is the first part of my Greenland adventure. Just getting to Greenland is a big, long story. And then 64 is going to be the continuation of that in Greenland, different things that happen. And interspersed with that with all these special guest interviews I'm doing. And I can't say enough thanks to everybody who donated to the GoFundMe effort to pay for me to go to Greenland. I really appreciate that. And this is the fruits of that endeavor here.
And I'd like to add that our gratitude extends to everyone out there. We really appreciate your comments and your likes, and thanks just for listening. So without further ado, here's number 63.
Welcome to the Dubcast with Dubside. We'll call this number 63. And this time we're going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to tell you the story of me going to Greenland for 2024. And listening to the story and adding questions and representing the audience is David Täng. And that we are at your house, right?
Yeah, we're in Sweden. It's a beautiful, it's a beautiful morning actually. Sun is shining as always in Sweden.
Oh yeah? Okay.
No, so I hear that you finally got to go to Greenland after the pandemics.
I did.
Yeah. So tell me about it. How do you
All right, so
go by just getting there?
Yeah, and that full excursion is not over. Tomorrow is I head back to the U.S., but I'm from Greenland. I went to Denmark and I came here to Sweden, so the adventure continues. But it's an interesting story. The beginning of that adventure.
Right.
So and in this story, I should mention one of the special guests I had before in the podcast, Kenneth Hug, the diplomat, Greenland's plenipotentiary who works in the Washington, D.C., who I've talked to a number of times and gotten on a good relationship with him. So he lives in the town of Qorqortoq when he's not in Washington, D.C. And Qorqortoq is where they had the competition this year. So I had a plane ticket to go first to Copenhagen, and then from there it would go to Narsarsuaq, which is the town in Greenland, South Greenland, with the big airport they open in the summertime. And then from there, a helicopter to get to Qorqortoq. So that's three plane trips, and you can go to Greenland through Iceland, but since I'm coming back through Scandinavia, I would fly there initially just to make the flights work that way.
Qorqortoq is in the far south.
Yes. So it's about the second week of July. I got a ticket that'll get me on an SAS Airways, nice airline, and that'll fly. It's an 8-hour flight to Copenhagen. And leaving in the early evening from the U.S. and getting there at sometime like 9 o'clock in the morning, and then there's a 3 or 4 hour layover, which is enough time to transfer and claim my bag, and then check my bag into the Air Greenland and go through that with another hour or two to spare. So things don't get. If the flight was a little bit delayed, it would get tight otherwise. And I've been through that before, but this one I had time for that. So I get on the plane. And I got one big, large checked bag and a carry-on bag, and it's an 8-hour flight, and which there's a 6-hour jet lag difference which kicks in. But so I'll be getting there. Local time will be 9 in the morning, but I won't sleep that much because it'll feel like I'm 12 or 3 in the morning, anyway, something like that. So I'm watching. They have the in-flight entertainment system. You get movies on demand. I was watching like some Paul Newman stuff. Was it the Hustler? It was a movie about pool and things. So time passes fairly well.
Yeah, but this was the flight from the U.S. to Copenhagen.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So I get to Copenhagen, and I was trying very hard not to get any kind of sick virus or flu or any cough or anything on the flight. So I had a mask on my face and gloves, and I did not take the gloves and the mask off for the entire flight. So I would try to keep from getting sick. It's too commonly in Greenland. By the time I get through all the process there and started the competition, you started coughing and then you come down with something.
Well, I just have to ask then, because your appearance is, just looking at you from where you normally dress, people kind of stare at you, I guess, or have a second look. But on the flight with gloves and a mask on, after the pandemic times, how did people react?
I guess I hadn't thought about that.
Are you so used to people looking at you? I wasn't paying
too much close attention. I was sitting between these two people. Well, I had the window seat, but I don't like to be cramped in all the way against the window. So I asked the two people. I asked them if they would like the window seat, and the guy said he would like it. It turned out because he had a nice camera, wanted to get the shots, going over Greenland landing at the window, you get the good shots. And the other person, I guess, was his wife, and she wanted to stay at the aisle seat. So I'm sitting between a man and his wife on this plane, but they seemed to be cool about it. So I didn't engage in any real conversation initially. So it's about a 5-hour flight.
Now we're talking about the flight from Copenhagen to Greenland.
Yeah. So this is Air Greenland, and Air Greenland they've got this one big huge jet that makes the flight from Denmark to Greenland, and then in Greenland you have smaller planes and helicopters. But in the summertime they're going to Qorqortoq is the airport in the north that most times things fly through, and Narsarsuaq, the airport in the south. They just subcontract a plane from some company called Jet Time, flies that route. So it's not the nice, cool Air Greenland's jet. It's this Jet Time jet. The Air Greenland jet has 2 aisles and nice and comfortable. This one just has 1 aisle down the middle, 3 seats on each side. And so I'm sitting, between the man and his wife. No in-flight entertainment system at all. Not even any USB plugs to charge your stuff. Nothing. They got that in-flight magazine that I already seen before. And so but I'm sitting there. I can tolerate 5 hours. I think I can tolerate 5 hours of that. So I've got my little iPod and headphones on. I'm listening to Dubcast episodes, that haven't aired yet that I've already heard a couple times. So I go through like 2 or 3 of those, and I'm trying to pace myself, and I'm checking my watch, and that's only what 2.5 hours. I still got 2 more hours of this, and trying to.
But you would be pretty tired by then. I mean, have a little nap.
Somewhat, yeah. But I can't sleep on planes sitting up. I have to be I have to be horizontal to sleep. You can try to lean the seat back, but it just doesn't work for me. I just can't.
That's one advantage the Swedish people my age has, because we've all been in the military. I mean, it's mandatory, or was mandatory by the time.
Yeah.
So if you've been wearing green clothes for a couple of months, you can sleep anywhere.
All right.
So that's one of the great skills the military teaches.
All right. Well, yeah. Too bad I don't have that.
Please go on.
So we're getting. Finally, when they make the announcement, I've been waiting hours to hear. We're getting our final descent, and in 30 minutes we should be landing in Narsarsuaq, and so take care of your business in the bathroom for now, and then you bring your seat up and your table up, and etc. Keep your seatbelt on. So then so all the announcements are first they're in Danish, then they're in English. And if it's the Air Greenland jet, they're doing Danish, English, and Greenlandic. But the Jet Time flight crew they're not Greenlandic, so they're just doing the Danish and English. So you get a sense of what's being said in the language you don't understand first, and then you wait for the English to clarify what you suspect they might be saying. So he says, pilot says, we're going to come down, when it gets to the English, he says, we're going to come down and take a look at the cloud cover, because we have to have enough visibility to land. If we can't land, if there's too much clouds, we can't land in Narsarsuaq. I'm immediately thinking, wait, we can't. Oh, that's not gonna be too good if we. So that hopefully that's just a little preliminary scare just in case, and we'll land and everything will be fine. I'll get through the competition time. I've scheduled. I'll be getting there 2 days early to help with the setup and the administrative stuff, and then they'll start. The first day is usually the short distance race. So we can sense the plane's getting lower. We're all strapped in and coming down. We fly around. We're taking turns. The path is not straight. We can tell he's swerving around or something. And then he comes on and he says, the cloud cover's too heavy. We're not going to be able to land.
Bummer.
Real bummer. So he says, we're going to fly to Keflavik, Iceland. And I'm thinking, what? I mean, we're in Greenland. Let's just fly up to Qorqortoq. I mean, we're in Greenland. Let's stay in Greenland. What's up with this? So I think I found out later that the weather, there was this really bad patch of fog in Greenland that was pretty much the whole west coast. So even Qorqortoq had too much fog to land. So which is why we couldn't land there. I believe that was what actually happened. I didn't know it at the time. Right. So it's going to be 2 or 2.5 hours to Qorqortoq. I'm like, oh, come on. So we fly, and so then we land in Qorqortoq. With the 30-minute, with entering and put your tape.
I thought you were going to Iceland, Keflavik. But you did.
Yeah, what did I say? No, I mean Iceland. We flew to Iceland.
You went there to Keflavik.
We went to Keflavik. So we land in Keflavik. And the pilot says, okay, we're going to pick up some fuel here, and we'll get some food as well, so you won't go hungry. And I'm thinking, wait, let us off the plane. I mean, there's hotels here. Put us up in a hotel in Iceland, and then we'll go to Greenland later after that. Come on, what's up? And so a lot of the people on the flight are finding out what's going on through the email on their phones, which I don't have. So I'm at a loss for all this stuff. And I guess they're talking in Danish among themselves or Greenlandic, and so I'm kind of in the dark. So I asked the people next to me, what's going on? And they said that, and then, So we're on the tarmac somewhere, and it takes them like 20 or 30 minutes to refuel and bring in extra food and stuff, and they won't let us off the plane, which I guess they were pretty shocked because they wouldn't have got me back on that plane if they let me off for 1 second. So they had the stairway rolling over to the plane, and they opened the door for some fresh air to come in. Uh-huh. And me and a few other people, we go up to the front just to stick our heads out, just to breathe some fresh air for once. But they wouldn't let us get, they roped it off. That you can't go down onto the ground or anything. So,
well, they probably had you on board previously then.
Yeah, you think so? All right.
Yeah.
So we get back on, we sit down, and he says, we're going to fly back to Copenhagen.
What?
That's what I said. What are we doing? Like, I've been on this plane for 6 or 7 hours. It's been another 4 hours to get to Copenhagen. Come on. And that's what we did. We flew all the way back to Copenhagen. And so...
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, I found out later. See, they like any good airline, they know exactly how much fuel they have. And he couldn't stay around, fly around around Qorqortoq for half an hour or for an hour waiting for the fog to clear, because he wouldn't have had enough fuel to get back to Iceland if he didn't find anything. They know exactly how much fuel they have to maintain in reserve. So they went back to Iceland, and probably in Iceland they were in touch with Greenland, and where they found it's still foggy. It's not going to happen today. So we went all the way, and I think Air Greenland doesn't have a whole hotel infrastructure in Iceland.
No, Iceland would be a problem, I would assume.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's a very small island, very small population, and just putting up a lot of people.
Oh, no. But Iceland is totally ready for tourists. They've got millions of people in Iceland.
Now, but this was tourist season, right?
Yeah, but
maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's Air Greenland. I don't think Air Greenland normally flies from Iceland. Iceland Air flies from Iceland. But anyway, all their hotels and their connections are in Copenhagen and in Greenland. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so we fly all the way back to Copenhagen, and this puts me in this plane for like 10 hours when I was hoping for half that much, and really not a happy camper at that point. And so,
getting a bit tired by then.
Yeah, really. And I also had not taken off my mask or my gloves the whole time. So I had not eaten or drank anything that whole time. I'm used to that. I can handle that. But just being cramped up in that plane, oh man, I was... So I'm standing up as much as possible, going to the bathroom. Just to, there's a long line. I get up and stand and wait in line just so I can have more time to stand up and not be sitting in my seat and everything. It was, and in the middle seat, playing elbow battles with both the left and right people on those sides for the armrest thing with your arm.
Yeah, but on a small plane like that, for that amount of time, I mean, people do all the crazy things in the aisles. I mean, you could have done some yoga in the aisles, and nobody would have raised an eyebrow.
I've done that before, not full yoga, but I've. There's just the one aisle in the front and back were a little cramped, so I didn't quite get that far. So we land in Copenhagen.
Yeah,
and it's like 11:30 p.m. And so people are getting off the plane, and the rumor is, I think at that point somebody told me we have to stay in Copenhagen for 3 days. The next flight will be Friday. It's Wednesday.
What?
Yeah, which has me thinking, really? So I go at the front of the plane, we were getting off onto the jetway thing, and there's the flight crew people there smiling, say thank you. Well, they're not smiling intensely like they usually do because they know we're kind of uptight. But the woman says, I said, what's happening, what's going on, because I didn't have the email. She says, well, go out to at the gate counter out there. I think there's somebody there that'll help you. I said, think doesn't work for me. You got to guarantee me that somebody is there, because I'm not going to walk out here to an empty airport and be stranded all night long because there's nobody's neck to wring in front of me. You're the last representative of an airline at the moment, and I'm not going to let you go until you can assure me that. She says, there is someone there at the counter There is, don't worry. I said, all right. So,
All right, yeah.
so I go out there. So yeah, there is a few people at this counter right as you come out into the airport. And of course, there's like the 150 people. So from the plane, all standing around. It's a crowd situation. Everybody with their hand luggage in their hand. And so you have to wait to get through the line because they one at a time they're dealing with people. So I guess the people that were flying from Denmark that live in Denmark, they'll just go home for 3 days and hang out and then come back. But the people who like me came in from somewhere else that need a place to stay. So I find half an hour goes by. I get to the person at the counter and I explain, and she's okay. You need a hotel, okay? So she says she'll find a hotel for me. Now let's see. I skipped over a crucial part of the story, so we're going to back up.
Right. Please.
So
do.
the first. Yeah, when I flew to Copenhagen in the morning, I got there at 9 in the morning. I had the 3 or 4 hour layover.
Right.
So I had enough time to go out of the airport, and I could look for some food. At that point, I'm going to take my mask and gloves off because I've been on the flight over the Atlantic for 8 hours. So at one time, if you're staying in a town and you know somebody, it's usually you have to take public transportation or somehow get to where they're at. But the best hookup I ever had was the Kastrup Kayak Club has their place right on the water, and you can walk to it from the airport.
Right.
You walk out the end of the airport, you walk all the way down, you get down a little bit road, 5 minutes or so, and there's a little marina there, and they have their club headquarters there. And so one year I was teaching for them, and I needed a place to stay during the time I was doing instruction. Their membership didn't have anybody close by or nobody with an available room. So they said, well, we could give you the keys to the club, and there's a shower there. There's sort of a kitchen facilities. And you can sleep on the floor there somewhere. I had an air mattress thing with me, a sleeping bag. So we did that.
Right.
And they let me hold on to the keys for even before and after I went to Greenland. So it was like having the airport hotel room right there at the airport because, it was very convenient with the keys and everything. And sleeping on the floor isn't choice accommodations, but it works for me. And on the way there's the Netto. The Netto is the food shop in Denmark. You buy your food there. And I stayed there for a couple nights before I had to go somewhere else. And on the way back from Greenland, stay there again. So, and then the final day, I left and just stuck the keys in their mailbox and was on my way. So it worked out really well. So so this year, the first flight, I fly over and I've got a couple hours to kill. So I walked out the airport. I claimed my bag and I checked it in with Air Greenland for the next flight. I still had 2.5 hours or so. So I went out and walked all the way down the road there. And you pass the airport hotels for the people that have real money. That that if you're staying, the hotel, big airport usually has the really nice hotel right next to it, so you can get up in the morning and walk right to your flight and not have to get on any kind of transportation. And so there's the Clarion Hotel is the big one, and next to it there's one. It may be the same size, called the Comfort Hotel. Mm-hmm. In the U.S. we have Comfort Inn, which is a budget thing, but this is a Comfort Hotel, it's what it sounds like. The Clarion is the posh one, and the Comfort Hotel is next in line of that. But so I walk past those to go all the way down the road and then over to where the Kastrup Kayak Club is, and I found a picnic table there. The weather was kind of nice, so I bought my food at the Netto place and ate some breakfast there. So then got back into the airport and found the flight and put my mask and gloves back on, and then went through this whole ordeal of getting delayed. So, 10 hours later, I'm back in Copenhagen again when I thought I'd be in Greenland. So at the counter there, they say, you need a hotel. Okay.
Yeah.
So she writes stuff down for me, and I'm thinking, how's this? There's probably like a shuttle I have to get on, and I'm already tired. It's getting towards midnight, and this is, quite an ordeal we're going through. So she says, it's the Comfort Hotel. And I thought, ooh, really?
So that's 5 minutes to walk.
The nice airport hotel, yeah. Uh-huh. So I go there with like there's other people on the flight, and you see them and then they're gone, and then you're going to claim your baggage, and then they're there again, and then you see them periodically in and out. So a couple of those familiar faces are walking to find this hotel again, and I go out onto the street the way I go towards the Kastrup Kayak Club, and then I find the hotel. There's actually an enclosed walkway in the wintertime you can get to the hotel, but I didn't know that at the time. So I get to the desk of the Comfort Hotel, and it's a lobby and there's people. It's almost midnight, and I say to the guy, I was on this Air Greenland flight. He goes, "Oh, Air Greenland? No, that's not this hotel." I go, "Great." He says, "That's at the Clarion Hotel." I said, "Oh yeah, okay." So then I walk over in the direction of the airport to the Clarion Hotel, the really nice hotel. And the lobby's got like 100 people in it, all from the Air Greenland flight, all familiar faces.
Oh, okay.
So they're putting us up in the Clarion Hotel
Right.
for 3 days, right? But of course, it's midnight, and there's a big long line there. And I took one look at the line, so I'm not going to stand up for as long as it takes. So I found the couch in the lobby and just sat down, and I think I shut my eyes for a while to take a rest. So I come to kind of, and then I'm looking, and the line is moving awfully slowly. So I'm timing. I've got nothing better to do. And sometimes there'll be one person, sometimes there's 2 or 3 people there, but each party that needs a room is averaging like 10 or 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, well, what do you need to take a name and give somebody the key to a room? How long does that take? And so
That's not going to pay for it anyways.
This line is moving slow. So from midnight, I wound up at the end of the line. I thought there was a bunch of extra people in the lobby, but it was a party of like a dozen people, and they had one representative was in the line. They all get their room and disappear. So I'm the last person in line. So I come to the guy at the desk has been working on it. It's 2:30 in the morning, 2.5 hours waiting in that for those people for them to process all those people. So the guy says to me, so I'm dead tired at this point. I've been 18 hours on planes in the last 24 hours. So he says,
no food, no sleep.
Yeah. He says, I guess I hadn't eaten anything, did I? Yeah, I didn't. In getting from off the plane to there with no food yeah, you're right. So I was more tired than hungry. So the guy says to me, well, for the last in line, we'll give you the best room. I said, okay, you got a presidential suite? He goes, well, we don't have a presidential suite. So it's a 12-story hotel. So he gives me some room on the 12th floor. I said, cool. So I got my key.
Penthouse.
I go up the elevator. I go up to the hotel room. And so it's a very nice room. The huge bathroom with a full shower thing and a big giant tub as well, and a full sink and mirror all over the wall and everything. And so I figured out later, I was in a hurry to just go to sleep. But very nice room. And I looked at things later and tried to figure out what the situation was. Each of the rooms in this hotel has a window from floor to ceiling. And it's like maybe a 3-meter high kind of floor to ceiling thing.
They're really neat and nice, yeah.
And we got the curtains that light shines through, and the second set of curtains that are the blackout curtains, it's all dark. Some of them, not all the rooms, but some of the rooms on the top floor. The top floor is it's the full 3-meter height or more of the floor, and then above that there's like a half story size height before the roof of the hotel.
Uh-huh.
And some of the rooms, not all of them, but some of them, less than half of them, have that extra ceiling height as part of the room. Mm-hmm. So this is like an 8-meter high ceiling. And the glass, the window goes all the way up, and the curtains are like 8 meters high, and there's a little sign that says, don't pull the curtains; they're electric. If you try to pull the curtain that hard, you'll pull the curtain out. So from the bed, you can push a little button, and the curtains are automatically closing. Or either one of the curtains, you got 2 different buttons you can open or close them. And there's this big, huge chandelier that hangs. There's such a tall ceiling that comes down over the bed, this big giant chandelier shining. And I went out. I thought all the rooms were like that till I looked and saw what was going on. They all didn't have that tall ceiling. I went the next day or two. I went outside at night. I turned on the chandelier, opened the curtains, and I went outside down on the ground floor at night to look up and see. And you could see this big, huge light from just that one room. So from having so we're there for 3 days, and Air Greenland covers the food as well. So we got the regular breakfast thing. The lunch and dinners. I just ate the dinner because I skipped lunch, but they were trying to save money, so we weren't in the restaurant ordering from the menu. They set out a what do you call that? A
separate part of the room, or
it's the buffet. A buffet.
Oh, okay.
We just come and take. It was good stuff, but it wasn't like going to the restaurant. But the breakfast spread was for all the hotel guests, and that was you had the gluten-free options and the vegetarian yogurt and all this exotic stuff besides the regular eggs and bacon and everything. It was quite the layout.
So that made up a little tiny bit from you being in Greenland then.
Somewhat, yeah. So,
now, to all the listeners here, now Dubside is smiling ear to ear when he's talking about this hotel.
So from having reminisced about my accommodations, the poor man accommodation on the floor of the kayak club, to from that 24 hours later, less than 24 hours later, being in the posh room of the best airport hotel. It's quite a jump there for 3 days at someone else's expense. So that was pretty cool. So so in that time, I did some stuff around Copenhagen, stuff places I was going to go anyway. The next time after Greenland, I was getting there, and I went to the Air Greenland office in the airport. Everybody else on their email was figuring out when the next flight was and how it was all going to work. But I had to go there and say, "Can you print me out the schedule for when?" I convinced them that you can't. They're going to email my travel agent. I said, "Well, I'm not going to get that. It's in the US somewhere." Oh. So they print it out. Here's your flight schedule for Friday. Will be the flight at 12:30 or something p.m. to Narsarsuaq, and then the helicopter flight to Qorqortoq is also rescheduled, and you'll have all that worked out. Now I had made
just 12:30 p.m. That will be in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would get to some sort of late afternoon to Greenland.
Okay.
To Qorqortoq.
So I was I was a little confused there. We don't use terminology here. So
PM you use 13, 14.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you would say 12:30, I would understand that being in the middle of the day. But then AM PM kind of confuses me.
Yeah. All right.
So just for clarification.
So I had booked ahead of time a hotel room in Narsarsuaq because the flight, the helicopter flight didn't leave till the next day. And so when she gave me the new stuff, it's still the same. You'll be there Friday, and then Saturday is when the helicopter leaves for Qorqortoq. And I'm not expecting really great accommodations, and they have some better hotels, but not in Narsarsuaq. So we're on the flight on the Friday. This is the second try to get to Greenland.
Right.
So we have the same folks, hey, how's it going? Familiar faces, and so we get on, and this is the jet time plane again. So no entertainment system, no USB plugins, but we know all that. One aisle down the middle, 3 seats on one side, 3 seats on the other side. So we fly over, and for the four and a half hours or so. And then the guy says, "Well, we have to come down and take a look because there has to be enough cloud." Yeah, we know all about that. There better not be too much cloud cover. I'm not going to go through this another time. So he comes down and take a look, and it's clear enough to land. So we're landing. Now, in international flights, there's a thing that they clap when the pilot lands. In the U.S., domestically in the U.S., we don't do that. For international flights, I see it generally happens, but in the U.S., if it's in the U.S., nobody really claps. It's not.
It was a long time since I heard anybody clap, but I would clap when that flight touched down.
We came down, when the plane hit the ground, we clapped. We clapped for a good long time. Then he taxied to the runway and stopped. Then we clapped again. We were mighty happy to get
out of relief, I guess.
Yeah. So it's pouring rain. It was clear he had enough to land. Maybe not too much fog, but it's a rainy, not really great weather. And so in the airport, we get off, we claim our bags. And so somebody says, "Hey, Dubside, it's Kenneth Hug."
All right.
In Greenland. He goes around back and forth a lot. And there he is. I say, "Hey, how's it going?" Friendly face. He speaks English quite well. So he says, "See, when it gets really fogged in, you can take a boat from Narsarsuaq to Qorqortoq. It's maybe 2.5 hours or so.
Oh, that's not bad.
The helicopter's maybe 25 minutes, so it's faster by plane. But if you can't, you can always, the boats are an option if it's not iced in the wintertime. So apparently some people are taking a boat that afternoon. So Kenneth says to me, he's got, I don't know if it's official from the Air Greenland, I don't know what the arrangement is, or if he's got his own private, whatever's happening, but he says, I'm taking a boat. We've got space in the boat. Would you like to go? You can go right now to Qorqortoq and get there today.
That would be nice.
So I said, oh. Then I thought, well, I paid for this hotel room, and the agreement, it surprised me when I originally somebody booked it for me online. You can make a reservation with no deposit, and you don't even need a credit card number. And you just a name, a given name, and they give you your reservation for that day. And it says somewhere in there like if you cancel before 24 hours, there's no problem there. You can cancel. But if it's after 24 hours, we'll invoice you for whatever, for 50% or something like that.
Yeah, right.
It's if they can get you if you don't even give them a credit card number, but they're trying to tell you that you're obligated to pay something if you didn't come for the reservation that they had. So I wanted to stay at the hotel. I mean, and it came out to, what was it, like 800 Danish kroners, which is over $100. And I wasn't expecting an incredible room, but that much money, something. And I was gonna just walking. I was envisioning walking around Narsarsuaq, and I've got my recording equipment, maybe recording some ambient sounds when the planes aren't coming. Get some good bird calls or something like that. So nice casual thing. I would have done this and still gotten to the competition 2 days ahead of time. Now I'm going to miss the first day of the competition because of this flight delay. But things happen, and it's right. The first day is usually the short distance race. So there's other races. So it's and I'm not intent on competing, so it's not a big deal. So I tell Kenneth, well, I'll stay here for the hotel room because I paid for it and I want to do all that. So he said, okay, we'll see you later. So he goes off to the boat. And there's it's a way you can walk that far, but there are cars that go, or the van or something that take you down to the harbor where the boats leave from. Oh, so nice. So I get this ride with a hotel van to the hotel. So in the hotel, there's a whole bunch of people sitting around, and I get to the counter. It's a pretty casual situation there, and I show the guy this reservation thing that I have, and I said, this was from 3 days ago, but obviously the flight was delayed. So I'm assuming that in Greenland they know these things happen all the time, and they'll just bump your reservation up 3 days and everything's fine. So he looks at it. He goes, "No, this is for 3 days ago. This is we don't have any rooms now. They're all Air Greenland's using them all for flight delays in Greenland. So, you don't have a room." And I said, I said, "Really?" And he says, "Well, if you check back in an hour or so, maybe we'll have something will be changed or something. But I can't help you right now."
Wow.
So it's pouring rain outside, so there's nothing to go out and go.
Has the boat left already?
I think so. I think at this point, I'm not going to run down to the boat with dragging my suitcase behind me in the rain. So and this time I start talking to these two guys who have familiar faces on the plane who've been through that whole ordeal. They're from the Faroe Islands. And they're doing some work volunteer thing in Greenland in some remote rural area for helping kids or some program like that. But they're cool guys. They speak English, so I'm talking to them. So I explaining my situation, and they said they were supposed to take a helicopter the next day in the morning, whereas my helicopter was supposed to leave in like the afternoon. And the helicopter will take at most 9 or 10 people. So a plane full of 100 people, you have to do multiple helicopter rides, which is why I had to stay overnight in Narsarsuaq because the early reservations had the first couple helicopters. So they say to me, we could, if worse comes to worse, we got a room in the hotel here. You could maybe find a spot on the floor or something like that, so you're not out in the cold. I said, well, I appreciate that, but I've paid money for this room. I hope I can get this real hotel room. So the number of people in the lobby, and this is kayak hotel Qorqortoq. I would describe it as clean but shabby. This is well worn. They don't do renovations all the time, so things are kind of dingy, but they try to maintain it. So the old couches with the cushions all smushed down, and shelf full of books that have been thumbed through and gotten all the pages dog-eared and everything. So gradually the number of people in the room is slowly dwindling, with people either they're getting rooms or they're disappearing somewhere else. I don't know. They're just But maybe an hour and a half goes by. There's a little gift shop there, and I'm looking for interesting items to buy to bring back to the U.S. But the prices are higher in the airport towns. So maybe an hour and a half later, it's gotten a bit quieter. So I go over to the counter, and in the meantime, I'm thinking to myself, if I don't have a room here, it's going to really be terrible because there's a hostel in Qorqortoq, but I originally couldn't get a room there because they were filled up when it was, June, when I was trying to reserve a room there, which is why it would have been cheaper at the hostel, which is why I had to pay the 800 kroners, which is over $100 for the hotel there. So, but I suddenly realized that if Air Greenland reserved all the available rooms for flight cancellations, I'm one of those flight cancellations.
Yeah.
They owe me the room because I'm there 3 days late because of them. So they should have, one of these rooms must have my name on it. So I should be okay. So I go to the counter and I say, do I have a room here? And give him my information. He goes, yeah. He gives me a key. I said, cool. See, in Greenland, you can spend a lot of time worrying for nothing, but things work out. So I got my key. I go to my room, and it's not like the Clarion Hotel 12th floor, but it's got its own bathroom and its bed and sheets and stuff. So it's cool. I lay my stuff out there.
Yeah.
And it was still raining pretty hard, but it let up at some point. I might have gone out. I think I went to, I put on some gear. I went to the store. There's one little store in Qorqortoq to buy something to eat, and brought it back to the room and ate. So the next morning, the information that I got from the Air Greenland office in Copenhagen said that the next day, my helicopter would leave about 2 p.m. Mm-hmm. And the Faroe Island guys, their helicopters in the morning sometimes, so I probably wouldn't see them again. So I figured in the morning, the next morning, it's misty and drizzly, but it's not really pouring rain. So I got rain gear. So I put my rain gear on and just go out to walk up in the hills kind of thing and check out the landscape there. So on the way back, you have to check out of the hotel by 10 o'clock. So that would give me a couple hours, but they say you can store your stuff there if you walk around. So I'm planning on storing my stuff there by 10 o'clock, and then I'll walk around, do some more hiking and see things. Then I'll make my way to the airport by, that's what, 1,300 for a 1,400 flight, helicopter flight. But so I'm coming back, and figuring I'll get back to the room, I'll take a nice shower, and then I'll pack up my stuff, and then I'll be out by 10 o'clock, and then I'll store my bags. But just on a whim, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm passing the airport. So let me just check in there to the Air Greenland counter, see what's going on.
Yeah, good idea.
Air Greenland is the only counter, because Air Greenland is the only one that flies out of the airport. So on the way in, there's a bright red pickup truck with the Air Greenland logo on it, and these 2 women are getting in the pickup truck.
Outside the hotel?
Yeah, outside the airport.
Okay.
I'm passing. The airport's not too far from the hotel. Mm. So I say, excuse me, I'm supposed to take a helicopter flight later on. So I give them my information, and they kind of frown. And they said, oh.
Bad sign.
Then they bad sign. So they go inside the office, and they check their stuff. They said, no, you were supposed to take a boat yesterday.
Huh?
Yeah. What? And they said, you didn't check in. You were supposed to check in after you got off the flight yesterday, because we had a boat to take you to Qorqortoq. So now we don't have anything for you. We can't do anything.
All right.
These are the curveballs you constantly get thrown at you in Greenland. So I said, well, I don't carry a cell phone. I don't have email. There was no requirement that I knew about to check in. I checked in Copenhagen, and I showed them. Here's what they printed out for me. They said tomorrow, helicopter flight, 1,400. And so this morning if I'm checking it at all, I'm checking now, though I didn't think I'd have to until half an hour before then.
And that then doesn't make sense, because that Greenland reserved a hotel room for you as well.
Yeah, really. Like the right hand's not keeping track of what the left hand is doing. Something's weird. So they say the typical response, well, check back with us in an hour or so. We'll see what we could do. Like they said, come back to the airport at 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And we'll see if we can handle that. So I go rushing back to the hotel, take a quick shower, pack up all my stuff, get out of the hotel, come back to the airport by 10 o'clock. And there's not a whole lot of people there. There's like this one woman who looks familiar from the flight. all the way back in Copenhagen. And then the two women, I think they are the entire Air Greenland staff at the airport. Maybe there's a mechanic in a shed somewhere, but they're the whole public relations division in North-Sarsvåg. So at some point, a few minutes, 10 or 15 minutes go by, and I find one of them, I get their attention. I said, am I in the right place? Am I? They said, yeah, just wait there, we'll let you know.
Right.
So about 10:30, there's a van or some vehicle pulls up, and they say, yeah, that'll take you to the boat that'll go. We'll have a boat ride for you. I said, cool. So the two guys from the Faroe Islands are also on this boat. Their helicopters. It's still too foggy to fly helicopters to Qorqortoq. So they're doing it all by boat. So we get there, and there's a boat there, and it's like a 37-foot motorboat with a cabin and everything. Mm-hmm. And there's a crew of 2. I think there's a total of 5 passengers on this, including me. It wasn't like they're taking masses. Maybe there's a bigger boat at some other time because anyway, that was so. Then I get to talk to the Faroe Island guys again and hang out with them it's 2.5 hours to get to Qorqortoq. And so we come in. It's at some point in the afternoon, and the harbor. They're running the competition right there in the harbor. So I pull in. I could see their kayaks out there. They're doing their thing, and so we get out.
And the guys in the boat, they go really fast, really close to the kayaks, and bring up all the swells, right?
Not that I was aware of.
There are a couple of nice guys.
To get there, you're going through the glacier, the field of icebergs. So they have to steer carefully, or you're going to pull a Titanic.
That would be a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I come off the boat, and I'm up the road there by the kayak club is right near there, and I'm seeing people I know. Hey, Dubside, it's see my friends and everything, and so it's about the end of the story. But just to get to Greenland one time, but it turns out the fog had affected the whole west side of Greenland, and there were people like the team from Ilulissat, which is the farthest north that sent a big team to the competition. Some of their folks got there maybe 2 or 3 days later. Some of them were delayed for 6 days, and some of them didn't get there till like the last day of the competition. I mean, some of them maybe they didn't make it at all. And there were, I think, in Qorqortoq, the northern airport, every hotel room was full. They told me they were putting people up in the gymnasium with a mattress on the floor, like they do for the kayak teams when I go to the competition. So I made out getting the posh room at the top of the Clarion Hotel versus a mattress on the floor of a gymnasium. But there were some very unhappy Ilulissat people, in Qorqortoq for 6 days. No, in Qorqortoq for 6 days, knowing that the competition is going on and they're missing each day of it. So with all this change going on, they had adjusted the schedule to put instead of the short distance race on the first day, they did individual rolling the first day.
Oh.
Which meant I missed all the individual rolling.
Bummer.
Which wasn't that big a deal for me. I'd seen it before. I would have been nice. They probably would have asked me to help with the judging. But imagine if this was the first time I was going to the Greenland competition and trained so hard for rolling and missed the whole event due to flight cancellation. Mm-hmm. Those are the kind of changes you get in Greenland that you just have to deal with.
Yeah, and I had plans going there this year, but other things came up, so I didn't go. But I would only go for the rolling.
The first year I went, I believe, Sherry Perry and I, we got there a week early. So you'd think that would be enough, but even a week could be, because I think like 2 days ahead of time, you figure that's plenty of time. But no, 3-day delay, and I still missed the first day. But if I'd taken the boat that Kenneth Hug offered me, I probably would have caught the end of some of the rolling.
Right.
But I how do you know?
You never know. Well, things work out, and usually for the best, but sometimes good enough.
Yeah. So
quite an adventure.
Yes. So I did get to the posh room of the best hotel.
So that was the highlight of the trip to Greenland, at least.
Yeah. And the low light would be, after the 18th hour on a plane waiting to get there, and that was.
The disappointment.
2.5 hours in line waiting to get a room at the hotel. That was a bit of a deal.
Yeah. But the disappointment when you had to turn around and go back to Iceland.
Yeah. Yeah, that was rough.
That was, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing all this with us.
You're welcome. Well,
Dubside.
thank you for representing all the audience, all my
I didn't do
listeners. and
anything.
audience. Yeah.
But actually, it was fun. It was first time I heard this story.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, in case you're wondering, David Täng is a Swedish guy who has been winning the rolling championships in Denmark and Sweden lately. And just at the same time I recorded this piece, I interviewed him, and that will be a special guest episode coming up in the future. One note of clarification. I said that the ceiling in the Clarion Hotel room was 8 meters tall. It's more like 5 meters, maybe about 16 feet. I did count the exact number of light bulbs on the chandelier, and that came to a total of 60. It was a very nice hotel room.